Hello everyone. May the 28th. What an exciting day this was. Could you feel that too? We really went through a very powerful activation these first 5 days of the 20 sequent in May, as I had predicted. It's been a wild ride and it's amazing. If you're in that place like I am, luckily, to just be able to manifest my life one step at a time, being in my power, and I see everything falling in place as I described in the intro to my last video. That's my experience, and I observe in my world, people I meet, it happens to everyone. It's a magical moment we are in. And there's many signs in astrology again, and I like to show you, I like to enlighten you, show you why things are the way they are, the above, as above, so below. So today we saw the first crop circle of this year. Beautiful propeller, very dynamic, 6 blades and 6 interspaces, very much resonating with the zodiac naturally, the 6 positive and the 6 negative, the 6 male and the 6 feminine signs. And in fast motion this is showing the intensity of the moment. This is a propeller. That's, I guess, pretty obvious. I guess you all see that. And here you see the amazing patterns here which are left behind. I mean, you know, crop circles are one of the unsolved mysteries on this planet. Yes, there's many theories, hypothesis, that's all good. We need the diversity. It is important that everybody can come to their own conclusion, which should be the case about all and everything, and that's actually exactly what's happening in our present time. This is the age of discernment. I said it many times, that's the silver lining of all that Neptunian extremes we are experiencing in our present time. Now the sun has been remarkably quiet, considering, you see here, you see the big sunspot 3315 presently here facing Earth, has a beta, gamma, delta magnetic field that harbors energy for X-class solar flares. Just a few days ago there was sunspot 3311, which also had a very complex, very similar to 3315, just kind of, it was a relay race when 3311 came out of focus, moved over to the sun's western limb as the sun rotates once in 26 days approximately, because the sun is a plasma ball, so it moves faster in the polar region than in the equatorial, so the median is 26 days, and because of that uneven movement that creates all the magnetic distortions. That's actually at least an explanation the scientists have for that. I mean, in reality it's a mystery. These are just, again, hypotheses, ideas which kind of seem to make sense, but we don't know really, because nobody has been there, nobody has really experienced it and come back. So anyway, this complex, powerful sunspot threatening to flare any moment, and here this is what you see. Yes, it's been active, but not that bad. You see, that was the last big flare, and M3 or something. M2, you see it's a logarithmic scale, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then X1. So each next level is 10 times greater. So anyway, here you had the last bigger flare, and you see since it's been pretty moderate for that danger, just a couple M1 flares which are big but not especially big, not really threatening. Anyway, that threatening sunspot is definitely there in the sky. It can go off any moment, and for the next 2-3 days into about June the 2nd, June the 3rd, it is directly facing Earth. So show you a few more pictures here as I'm on this side. That is the space weather page, which is my homepage, and always the latest news from outer space, the sun and the planets. This was a spectacular photo here, a spectacular video this astronomer captured. Yes, you can look it up yourself. Just wanted to quickly show you as I'm here. So let's get into the astrology. So today Orcus turned direct, stationary direct. That's what SD means. Orcus is this guy here, is in the same space as Pluto. Actually, it's the two orbits pretty much mirror each other like two wings of a butterfly. It's very beautiful, and they are both about the same themes. So Orcus is the feminine part, in my understanding. Pluto is the masculine part. It's about transformation and alchemy. And this is the keywords I found on the net, and which are resonating with my own observations. It's the rumbling in the deep. Orcus is a god of the underworld. Orcus, the deep sea giant, the big whales, god of the underworld. Yes, rebuilding is about Orcus, and transmutation, a very, very big word, transmutation and alchemy. And it so happened that, as you see, the moon was applying within less than half a degree, within 21 minutes applying to Orcus. So this is a very, very powerful moment, and in that sense, this whole next 7 months roughly, Orcus will move forward, will have this strong lunar connection, which the moon brings energies down to Earth. The moon is really the lens through which we experience the outer world. It is kind of like making a shell around Earth, and therefore also being the lens to bring in and make. I mean, the moon in the first place makes the night sky dynamic. It's the one which obviously everyone, even earliest human beings, were seeing. Yes, it's moving in the sky. Versus stars, you have to be more observant to see it. The moon is really the connecting link between our Earth and the outer cosmos. So whenever a planet and a point is connected with the moon, conjunct the moon in particular, that means this energy is brought down to Earth in big ways. Now, this chart is very strong in many ways. That's where the comet is right now. Actually, I looked it up and calculated it at 2310 it was in that moment. So within just a bit more than half a degree. The same was the case just a few days ago on the 23rd, when Mars and Jupiter had their waning square, which I said was the culminating point where really the ball was pushed into the arena, and that Mars-Jupiter is really a powerful activation of male energy with Mars in Leo. It's the waxing square, so Mars is moving away from Jupiter in that sense towards the opposition. This is a super dynamic energy, and that moment also set TF, the comet, the green comet, which was closest to Earth in February, was at 20 one at 22:02 at the time, so that is 21:55. You see, was the ascendant here in Greenwich. So 7 minutes of arc, even closer. So there is something of bringing down this comet's code and really awakening it, bringing it to life. And believe it or not, just to jump a little bit ahead here, a few days from now, on June the 4th, we will have the next full moon at 13 degrees 18 in Gemini. I will make a special video about that and the following days. But just to throw ahead, this is exactly the point where the comet again was conjunct Mars on February the 12th, that was, and that was within hours of the comet cutting through the horizon plane, the equatorial plane, of Earth, which is 0 latitude. So at that point the comet was exactly above the equator, exactly vertical, balanced over Earth. So one of the most powerful points where its energy was infused, and that happened simultaneously within hours of connecting with Mars, the one and only conjunction the comet has with Mars. Naturally in 2 years, but that's the comet will already be quite far away. But this is the only conjunction within this interplay in the inner solar system. So super powerful, and Mars and the comet have so many connecting points. I counted 7. You can go back to these videos. That comet is super important. As the 9 magenta Pixies source put it, it is the green comet of the green star-seeded comet of deliverance codes for humanity. Now, if this is not a big assumption, so it has to do with the star seeds awakening, delivering the codes which have been still missing. So it's kind of the last missing little pieces in the puzzle which are delivered and brought to life. And it is truly magical time. I mean, it is something is happening. There's a collective awakening where time is transcended. We are fast approaching a singularity moment. This could be manifesting or starting off with a huge solar flare. Just thinking of David Wilcock, who had been in his wisdom teachings, which are still available on Gaia TV in the archives. He spoke about those events he researched every 26,000 years ago, when a big cultural cycle comes to a close, where something which has come to a full circle in that sense has to be terminated and rebooted from scratch, which is at unknown intensity. Nobody knows what the huge solar flare will do. Definitely it can easily kill all AI, delete all data on all hard drives, because if it's a strong EMP, that's exactly what that does, unless you are probably thousands of meters underground. So yes, some of these people who know what's coming, they have been preparing for that in bunkers. And this is most likely, as we are exactly in that range of about 26,000 years from the last big event of that kind, as David Wilcock was showing in his evidence of what he had found in his research. So anyway, the comet is kind of the the activating energy which brought in a new impulse. I compare it with a billiard ball which was pushed in from the interstellar area, a wild card, something which then inserts a particular frequency, a particular resonance, and that was mainly directed towards Mars. So that's why I said Mars is super important, and so is Venus, which is still bright in the sky. The two planets, the two sister planets, brother planets if you want, Mars being more of a male force, which are all about procreation and nature and the abundance of biological life. Now, just to remind you that power of this 14th degree of Gemini, and I will read this right now as I think of it. I go into detail in my previous videos about the comet, where I already show you all that, but it's just really important to be repeated. So this is the 14th degree of Gemini, bridging physical space and social distinctions. Two men communicate telepathically. The capacity to transcend the limitations of bodily existence. That's pretty big, and that really shows that basic preset of something really extraordinary to come, connected to the comet, activated by this coming full moon. So I see some really amazing developments between the 12th and the 21st. That's roughly the window. So I am quite sure this will be beyond our imagination, what will come. I don't know what it will be. It could be a big solar flare. That's just one possibility, which then could trigger anything here on Earth of great magnitude. And again, I will show you all the ingredients, why I am so sure on that. So that was just a little preview. Let's jump back to where we are today. Orcus turned direct, so that transmutation energy is going mainstream, you could say. It goes outwards again. Now it has been working on us for the last 5 months internally, getting us ready to this point to now turn around and use this power toward the outer world. And oh gosh, I mean, this is just one of many charts, but look at just the placement of Uranus here in the 12th house. I mean, in general, the left side here of the chart holds most of planets. It's kind of a ball. I'm sometimes mispronouncing because it's spelled the same way. You get the picture. So Uranus here in pole position in the 12th house, coming from an unseen angle here together with Vesta. There's that powerful spiritual intent which is really the fuel of what is going on. It is that collective power we have to rebuild the future, to re-envision what we want to see on this planet. That's exactly where we should go with our imaginations and thoughts. And with Mercury traversing over all of these in the next week or two, this in itself shows the intense power of manifestation with Mercury in Taurus. Yes, this is very, very down to earth, hands on, and real, tangible, touchable. So I could say many more things. Let's move on to the next chart. This is just a few hours later. Actually, I just want to point out one more point. Is the black moon here at the source point of the chart, pretty close, within 2.5 degrees or so. And the black moon will show up repeatedly, already has, even more and more prominently over these next 2 weeks, as I will show you in the charts I have lined up in my next video. Anyway, just a few hours later, Uranus crossed the 20-degree mark. Now this is big. Uranus is now in the Capricornian Ward, and Capricorn is the sign of crystallization, of bringing things into form. Again, it's one of the earth signs, and it's actually the most structured and most refined of the three. Taurus is the sprouting process, you could say. You put the seed in the soil, and then you see it breaking through the soil. It is a natural force. It is something which is inbuilt in nature, in that automatic, you could say. And then Virgo is the next of the earth signs, with the moon in here actually. So there's lots and lots of Virgo, really speaking, for that manifestation energy. Virgo, by the way, the moon in Virgo is super positive, always, in my opinion. It's the energy of self-care, of being able to know what I have to help myself first in order to keep my energy intact, my body intact, to be able to serve others. It's always the pretext is to be ready to share what I have. That is the Virgo energy here with the moon. Knowing where to draw lines, when to say no, when to close the door, when it's important to have my own space. Very Virgo moon. And then naturally with the Capricornian influence now, in this whole 10 degrees of the sign are ruled by Capricorn as a decant, and in particular the 2.5 degrees, 20 to 22.5, also have the Dwad energy, which is the fractal, if you divide each sign into 12 equal parts. The first 2.5 degrees are always the same sign, the same energy as the original sign, so Taurus, Taurus, and then Taurus, Gemini, and so on and so forth. You can easily calculate that in your head, I'm sure. Maybe not. It's a little bit of a practice. Anyway, the long and short, see where the black moon is here and the ascendant. So again, this shows that this whole time, actually this first dip, I should say, Uranus has crossed the 20-degree mark, because it will eventually go back again to a lesser degree. Let's just look here. So yes, it turned retrograde. No, it will go retrograde at 2304, so it definitely will come back over this line once more. But for these first 3 months, let's see when it culminates again. Come on, okay. Okay, here we are. It culminates in 91 days, so then it would be another 91 days for it to come back to this degree, more or less. So for the next 6 months, you could say, this chart is active here. So yeah, Uranus again, and connected with a black moon with a Leo rising. this is explosive. I mean, we will see many things breaking open. I predicted it at the beginning of the year that this will be the year where everything comes to light, and that is what we are seeing. It is in full motion. Now this was just today, and then the node and Jupiter closing in on one another. That is exact on the 2nd of June. But let's go one step at a time here. This is then on June 1st, a couple of days from now, on Thursday, when in heliocentric geometry Mars will be conjunct Pallas. Now I should show you the heliocentric chart as I'm already mentioning it. Let me just change it 1 second. Okay, so here we go, and we redraw the chart, then you see what I mean. So we have Mars and Pallas. Here they are. Now Pallas is an asteroid, one of the main asteroids, and it is connected to the recognition of patterns, but also justice and truth, in that sense of what we are observing, what our mind tells us. So it is also the abstraction. So Pallas, as I say, is standing for the truth and nothing but the truth. If you go into the Greek mythology, Pallas is often depicted, it's naturally a goddess holding a sword and holding a scale and having the blindfold on. That's the classic representation. Now this moment when Mars was charged up, and Pallas can be quite a warrior in that sense of fighting for what is right and proclaiming it. Pallas is very versatile in her expression. It has to do with art and science too. So Mars is supercharged here, gets supercharged here on June the 1st. And look at where Ceres is at that moment heliocentrically, and Chiron. It's so clear. The message is so obvious. It's about nourishment and healing. And also the crisis which we are going through is described in this opposition, which is so prominent here. And then also in this chart we have the vertex at 1 degree Leo. That is a powerful degree, as I will show you in my next video. It links back to the New Year's chart of this rabbit year on January the 21st, the Aquarius new moon that was. You see that was in exactly that axis. So this is a supercharged axis. And just to add one more thing, it was very clear to me from the beginning this would be the most intense year we will really have to go through still. It is the culmination with that black moon right in our face. Everything will be brought into our face. Everything has to be looked at. Nothing can be left out anymore. This is the great awakening we are seeing, and it is forced by consciousness just becoming so it's just a high frequency which makes all the fake stuff fade out and become recognized in the contrast. It is that contrast that so much light is brought in too, and light is found in the heart of the shadow. That's how it goes. And for those of you who are new to the black moon, that is the place where the moon is farthest away from Earth. So it's an empty point in space, really, but it defines the moon's orbit. If you look at an orbit, if this is the kind of the first of the two focus points, where the ellipse goes around, and then there's one at the far end, that second focus point, that is that black moon, that is the direction in space. And when this is so exact, that is, yes, we cannot see anything but having to face head on the shadow. That was the story of the whole year, because the Aquarius new moon is the dynamic midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. So it is where they meet, and this is the wonderful thing about the Chinese philosophy. It's about the polarity working in a concert. It's that yin and yang. It's also showing up in the I Ching very beautifully, with the strong lines, the male ones, the light ones, and the broken ones, the dark ones, the feminine ones. And it's these two principles. And as you know, this is exactly the same pattern we have in our genes, in our 64 genes, our 64 potentially possible combinations of amino acids, exactly as the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching. So that's why it makes so much sense what Richard Roth then has brought the whole I Ching to a whole new level. Those of you who follow me, I often mention him. He is doing a marvelous job in his gene keys, which again are directly coming out of the teachings of the human design system. All these things are what I am working with, for those of you who are new. Anyway, I am again I'm going off track here. So on June the 1st, yes, this will be a powerful moment. And then just one day after, on the 2nd of June, Jupiter will be exactly conjunct the moon's north node here at 3:37. This is a intensification of the direction we're moving on, that trajectory towards nourishment. This is the area hexagram 27 is affiliated with, between 2 degrees and 7 degrees 37 and 30 seconds. For those of you who are interested in the details, you can go to my homepage, Celestial, the Cosmos Within.org. You find it in the comments or in the description under the video, the link if you're interested. All the breakdown of the exact degrees. A wonderful, powerful system to work with. Anyway, so let's look at this chart for a minute. Aside from the fact that Jupiter and the node here in early Taurus are right at the cusp of the second house, which is super powerful. It comes with a clear focus of intention of laying the foundations for something new in the first house, and it is in that very last segment. just short before entering the second house, which is truly that Taurian energy. The second house resonates with Taurus, yes. So it is that double whammy, if you want to say, of all that Taurus energy. This is really pushing the river towards the birth of something new. The Scorpio moon here in hexagram 1, by the way, here between 1315 and 1852-30, hexagram 1, the creative, the 6 yang lines. This is the divine intent which comes through us, as beautifully described in this 14th degree of Gemini I just read you before. That ability to work together with the unseen dimensions and move towards that singularity event. We are so close. It's unbelievable. I can feel it, definitely. So Saturn on the ascendant. Oh yeah, it's this is a tough job on many levels, and it is involving that grief we have to integrate, that all the dark emotions have to be integrated, because you have to rise above the emotional involvement in this world. You have to see it's really a play of polarities. In that sense, the bad actors have as much a right to be here as the good actors. It's the potential difference, the difference in charge. The greater the potential difference, the greater the flow of current, the greater the potential for evolution. So there has to be this extreme polarization we are coming out of to spark what is just about to come to completion in the next, in my opinion, 2 to 3 weeks. This is really the culmination period of the year. Now, one other way to see that this is really the culmination period of the year, you see, this is where the midheaven was in the year's chart, and I said it many times. The Chinese New Years are wonderful opportunities. They hold the whole year in a fractal, opportunities to predict the dynamic manifestation of how it goes through the year. I mean, just look at this. The Sun and the Moon and Pluto were in the 5th house, which is all about that Leo energy, which is now so getting accelerated and empowered by not just Mars being in Leo since, you can look back, I don't remember, 10 days ago or so, and Venus will enter Leo on the actually in a couple days. I can tell you that will be on the 5th of June. Just one day after the full moon. So, yes, this 5th house energy here in the year's chart, that Leo energy, that fire, that dragon fire, which really is the underlying frequency which pushes us, motivates us, empowers us to be direct and clear and honest and uncensored. Very important in this present time. I compared it just in the description of my last video. If you haven't read that, I really want to say that once more. It feels like sitting in a racing car right now and you are still pushing the pedal down. Or you could also compare it to being in an airplane. You're on the strip towards takeoff. You're pushing hard on the throttle, and you see the end of the runway is coming closer, ever so faster, and you are still speeding, and there's danger you might not be able to take off, not being airborne by the end of the runway. So you have to trust and still keep pushing, and just knowing that you will be able to take off at the end of the runway. That's kind of the situation we are in collectively right now. And yes, with this Gemini here, midheaven here, you see 1527 today, the 28th of let's go back here for a sec. The moon is at 6 degrees 38, so we're roughly 10 days away from that culmination point at 15 degrees or so. Yeah, around June 6 to 8, that is when things really get pushed up to an amplitude we probably haven't seen, and that will be the level, just the base level for what's to come into the 21st. So this is a really, really wild ride, powerful, and it needs us to relax into it, to let go, to just step back and out of it, because it's all already on trajectory. Everything is coming together nicely. The best we can do, and actually this is what Jacqueline Hobbs is suggesting, is to connect with your heart, fill with pure love. Just close your eyes, imagine, do that every day for some 10 minutes, she's suggesting. Just feel how you're filling yourself with that loving presence which is everywhere. Divinity. It's the frequency of empty space. It's the frequency of the hyperspace. It's the frequency of the beyond, which is all around us. So filling with pure love and absorbing it, and this gives you the authentication to be in your power, because then you're truly an agent of change. You're an agent of that divine force which is forcing out all which is of lower frequency. That's basically what happens. And we are activating the sun. We as a collective, all the awakened people, we are resonating, and the sun is our manifester. So at the right moment, this will all come together into a synchronization, and that will be the moment when the breakthrough is happening, when we're plunging into singularity, whatever that means. So I mean, yeah, just to say it once more, I knew this would be the time of the exalted experiences, May starting and then into June. And from there on, it will be just unbelievable, the journey we are on here on this planet. This is the end of the Dark Ages, the very final chapter. And again, this is then the new moon, the full moon, sorry. One more resonance with the green comet here. Mars turned direct at 8 degrees 20 something, and the comet turned direct at 8 degrees 07 or so. I might be wrong with the minutes, but it was just within 1 degree of this ascendant, so it's very clear to me. And then this is yet another really powerful frequency which I'm getting into in my next video. This is the axis of of descendant and ascendant in the American chart, the Declaration of independence, which I rather am calling the chart of the new world. It's the underlying intention to bring to earth these beautiful, powerful principles which are the base of this intention. Brotherhood, fraternité, égalité, liberté, yeah, as one of you has beautifully mentioned in a comment under one of my videos. Thank you for all the comments, always appreciate it. I always read them. I always enjoy to get some feedback. I also invite you to ask questions which you would like me to talk about in the next video or so. If you feel like, please do that. Anyway, that is it for now. My next one, as I say, I will focus on the full moon and what's coming in its wake, and it will be pretty spectacular. Thanks for joining in and listening.